Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in the world and whenever you are tuning into this video. My name is James Porcelli, and welcome to another edition of the Ruthless Talk podcast. I want to give a happy Thanksgiving to everybody, or early happy Thanksgiving to everybody that is watching. As I am recording this on a Tuesday night, just several days away from the Thanksgiving holiday. Hopefully, by the time you guys watch this video, hopefully everybody has a great Thanksgiving, a great holiday with your family and your loved ones. As you can see for today, this decision was very short noticed. So I apologize to everybody that is watching this in advance. I didn't know if I was even going to do this today, but here I am. So fuck it. We're going to talk some pro wrestling one way or the other. So ladies and gentlemen, today there's a lot that I want to go over. So I'm going to be talking some Full Gear and AEW bringing the boom. If you know that reference, you know what I'm talking about. We're going to get into all of that. And we're going to get into some Monday Night Raw. This was the go-home show to Survivor Series. We're going to get into all of that today. But first things first, I want to give a shout out to everybody that was a part of our roundtable event just this past Saturday. I want to thank all of those guys, Carlo, Keith, and Matt, everybody, all of those guys that participated and that was a part of that said episode. Thank you guys so much. And if you guys have not checked out that roundtable episode, make sure you guys do. That is on all of our platforms right now. We talked the Survivor Series card. And speaking of Survivor Series, there were two matches that were added onto the card, as I expected there would be. But at least the matches that were advertised prior, those other matches being added, we talked all about that. What we would like to see that was the most deserving match to be on that said card. And of course, a whole lot more stuff. So make sure you guys check that out. If you haven't, again, it is on all of our platforms right now. So I'm not going to waste too much time. Again, this is on a Tuesday night. I don't want to make this episode as long as it needs to be. So I'm going to jump straight into it, man. So I guess we should just jump straight into Full Gear, because why not? Look, man, I'm just going to be upfront honest with everybody who is listening to this or is watching this. Going into it, man, I did not give a single shit about this pay-per-view going into it. And it's kind of a trend with AEW as of late, right? To where, you know, the pay-per-view itself, really damn good with lots of good action, a lot of good matches. The wrestlers, for what they are given, pretty much do their thing. It's in its totality. But this probably was the weakest build that I have ever seen from an AEW pay-per-view. And that's saying something, because when it comes to AEW and the storytelling aspect of us getting captivated, it's saying a lot. And this was just by far the least interested I was in this pay-per-view. But I did watch it. I did watch majority of it, and I was able to catch the rest of it just yesterday. And I will go over this entire card. However, I want to talk about something that unusually is catching a lot of headlines, and that's not even from a Will Ospreay, a Ricochet, an MJF, a John Moxley, a Bobby Lashley. It's not even that. It's the Costco guys, Big Boom AJ, Big Justice, and the Rizzler. That's right. That were a part of the 0 hour of Full Gear, as Big Boom AJ took on QT Marshall in a matchup. Now, for some odd reason, this is getting major headlines across all platforms, through social media and everywhere. And of course, if you guys don't know who I'm talking about, if you guys are befuddled, bro, who is Big Boom AJ, who the fuck are you talking about? Well, they are known as the Costco guys. So they pretty much are on TikTok, Instagram, and they make these videos going to said Costco, because I'm sure that's one of their favorite places to shop at. They like eating double chunk chocolate cookies, chicken bakes. They like shopping for things at Costco. They do these cheesy type of videos to where did we go over some odd dollars or down some odd dollars? They interact with other content creators, and much love to them. They got their followers, they have their brand, and they got their likes and their views, and honestly, much props to them. And you can, for this dude, Big Boom AJ, right, who I believe is also a pro wrestler. He was a pro wrestler before he decided to create this platform along with his son, Big Justice. So he does have wrestling experience and background, which you can see that there was a glimpse of it. And also, shout out to him. I believe he actually broke his foot in this matchup, so I'm sure he's going to have some time to heal, and who knows what his future is going to be in this sort of limelight. But look, man, I mean, I can't really, don't hate the player, hate the game, I guess, to where they're making their views with their family and their loved ones. And is it cringy? Is it cheesy? Oh, you betcha. But it's working. They're making their money. They're doing all of these collaborations with these top celebrities and names. And you can't really play or hate it. So AEW, so I first glimpsed at this and I saw that it was QT that brought up the idea, and he pitched it to Tony Khan, and Tony Khan granted QT the offer. But AJ had an interview, or this was posted, as I'll get to the actual matchup and my overall thoughts about this before I get to the main card itself, is that AJ, his desire was first with WWE. And that's what's funny about this, right? To where he legit said that WWE, he reached out to WWE several times to make an appearance with his son and everything else to make this happen. And it was AEW, I think it was Sanjay Dutt, who reached out to this dude that, if you reach out to WWE, then they're going to want to make you come to WWE, but us at AEW is going to bring the offer to you, which is interesting, right? Because listen, you can look at this situation and go, James, it's in the 0 hour. It's no harm, no foul. It's really, it's better off in the 0 hour. It's a celebrity matchup. It wasn't really meant to be taken seriously. You had Paul White, Big Show out there. It was, it's really nothing much to go in depth, right? And you guys are right on all of those things. But here's what's befuddling to me is that clearly AEW is trying anything to grab a certain type of audience. And clearly this is an audience that they're trying to grab for certain casual fans that are fans of these people that know about the Costco guys, and you're bringing those said audience from online and YouTube and TikTok to say, oh, hey, AEW? Well, boom, there you go. There's your audience, right? So I get that from that aspect. And we see it from WWE for years and years and years. We see it from people like Mike Tyson, recently from people like Logan Paul and Bad Bunny, David Arquette, right? Dennis Rodman. And the list goes on and on with names that come onto the scene, right? Snoop Dogg. Again, I can go on for hours mentioning celebrities that have done business with wrestling promotions like WWE and such. We all know that AEW is just at a point to where the product, and you hear it from everybody in the wrestling community, is just not piquing a lot of interest. And you see that within AEW Dynamite's numbers, and I scream about it all the time. The last 5 years, they have lost viewers. They've lost viewers, half of their audience. And for so long, they're trying to even gain back their niche audience because the product has just completely dipped and the storylines just make no sense. You have so many people just turning face and heel within the snap of a finger. And I'm going to get to those people in just a second as well. But there's a massive disconnect with the AEW product. And sure, to a certain degree, to where the pay-per-views itself may be pretty decent because let's face it, it's not really the talent that's the issue, because the talent goes out there and they crush it for what's been given to them. But the problem is that the scenarios and the situations that these talents are put in, and because of that, people are just not interested. They're not interested in seeing another Ricochet match. They're not interested in seeing, well, maybe for most people, this Continental Classic, which I'll be honest with you, man, I don't care. I get it. There can be some entertaining matchups, but guys, I can go anywhere in this fucking world, in this country, and watch entertaining matches, and they would create the same amount of entertainment and enjoyment than I would watch an AEW product. It's just the fact. You bring in these guys to, they put them in the 0 hour, the pre-show, and you can argue, guys, that these people, the Rizzler, who was the timekeeper, Big Justice, who is AJ's son, and AJ himself, Big Boom AJ, with his double chunk chocolate cookies and his chicken bakes bringing to the AEW product, had a bigger reaction than almost anybody in this card. And that says a lot. You're thinking, oh, well, James, they're celebrities, it's the pre-show, it's not that big of a deal. True. But guys, AEW is in a position to where they don't even have a foundation. You failed to build this foundation known as AEW Dynamite, to where once again, your ratings have gone down the shitter, and you thought, Tony Khan, it was a great idea to add in Collision, to add in Rampage at the weirdest possible time, which is a 10 o'clock Friday night slot and a Saturday night slot where, let's face it, nobody is watching anything. So when you get to the flagship show on Dynamite, you can't be shocked to where people look at your product and go, what's going on here? You can't be shocked. And you think that bringing in the Costco guys to where maybe for a certain degree it could add somewhat of a spark, but if your biggest spark is these celebrities, these influencers you're bringing onto your product, what does that truly say about the foundation of your show? Because this isn't, guys, bringing in somebody like a Mike Tyson or a David Arquette or a Snoop Dogg or a Snooki or a Marina Menounos in WWE. Because, and listen, I will bash WWE when it comes to shit like that, when it's just throwing celebrities out there just to throw them, right? But guess what? Whether we like it or not, going back to Vince McMahon days, whether we want to hate on Vince McMahon or not, for justified reasons, the foundation has already been built to where they're in a position for that. Mike Tyson in the Attitude Era alongside with DX and Stone Cold Steve Austin, right? The foundation was built to where, yeah, let's bring Mike Tyson in because everybody in the sports world knows Mike Tyson. And if the AEW product was buzzing, if the AEW product was at an all-time high, then I would be more fond of this decision. Now, again, this decision, for me personally, I've seen their content. It's somewhat, I guess you can say for some people, pretty addicting because these guys are somewhat entertaining. They have a personality, both the Son and AJ. They bring the personality, and guess what? It's no shocker that people are attracted to a certain personality. That's why people with Logan Paul, for example, feel a certain type of way because he just pisses you off, right? You want to see him get his ass kicked, and some people just personally don't like the dude, and that's another discussion. But it's the personalities that these celebrities bring, and it's so odd, and it's really funny how the celebrities and the influencers come into this product, they come into this business, and they pack on more personality than majority of these wrestlers. And it's not even an AEW problem. That's just a pro wrestling problem. But for AEW, if your product was at an all-time high, sure, bring in the Costco guys. Freaking why not? Have a ball. But sure, but you're not in the position to do that. You're not in the position to where you bring in the Costco guys and they're legit getting one of the top reactions of your PLE, your pay-per-view. That's an issue. Let's face it too. There's so many goddamn matches on this card I would at least shrink it down to 6 or 7. 6 or 7 is a pretty solid number. Maybe not to where Triple H has it, which is like maybe 5 some odd matches. That's maybe a little, I'm fine with it either way. And it gives, more of the wrestlers an opportunity to showcase themselves. But 6 or 7, that's more of a good balance. But like 8, 9, 10 matches, man, let's pump the brakes. So my point is, man, it's just, if you want to bring in celebrities, I'm all for evolving the company. I'm all for evolving the business. I'm all for bringing in new fans, casual fans. But if you haven't developed your foundation, if you haven't developed a true niche audience that you've lost over the last 5 years, you're not in a position to do these types of things. You're just not. You bring in the Costco guys and you think, oh, casual fans, that's going to help your product. Newsflash, it's really not the answer. It's weird. I understand what the goal was or what they're trying to accomplish, but guys, let's face it, AEW, the product itself, and I get it, the streaming deal with Max that they got coming up in 2025, and Tony Khan, he's worth billions of dollars. So you question if he even truly gives a shit, which I'm sure to an extent he doesn't. But that doesn't mean, man, the product's at an all-time high. Your numbers show that. Everything shows that. Your stories don't make any sense. The only thing that you have to latch onto is just the match itself, the fireworks, right? I like to describe wrestling matches, banger matches, right? The flips and the dives, the nonstop wrestling action. They're like fireworks, right? In the moment, you're oohing and eyeing. This is such a great show. But then when it's over, you're not remembering it the next day. You're just not. And that's the problem. Now, this PLE itself, right? So those are my thoughts about the Costco guys. AJ, again, much love to that entire family. They got their clicks, they got their channel, they got their brand, they're doing their thing. And like I said, you really can't play or hate. Honestly, much love to them. But for AEW, man, to kind of just to use this as a last grasp to gain some interest from your PLE, I don't know, man. You're not in a position to do that. You're just not. But anyway, this PLE itself, like I said, going into it, I was not into it at all. But I'm like, hey, you know what? These performers, they're still probably going to do their thing. There's still some matches on paper that look solid. So I'm like, I'll give this a chance and see what happens. The first matchup was with the tag titles. Now, why start this match off? I don't know. They teased a Max Caster heel turn, which I guess can be fun. I mean, I don't know. The Acclaimed, man, used to be such a good tag team. They were so over several years ago, and it sucks to see where they are now. And I guess a turn could possibly be fun, but you question what they're going to bring to the table as said singles competitors, at least moving forward. I'm sure the matchup itself, it achieved what it needed to achieve. Private Party, who is your tag champions, by the way, won this match, and Max Caster did get the pinfall. So they told the story with the Acclaimed that a split is pretty much near. I believe, House of Black was in this match, the Outrunners. It was a fatal four-way circus, which is why I'm stating this. Why the fuck is it starting your PLE? The answer, guys, there is no circumstance to kickstart a PLE. You start with something like this. You just don't. This is something you put in the middle of the pay-per-view. I'm sorry. Again, this is no shade to everybody that was involved in this match, but you start the night off with a boom, right? And this was a dome. It just was, man. Again, if this was on any other middle of the show, I would have been fine with it, as the matchup was fine. I can't stand, though, this tag division. Again, tag team wrestling nowadays, to where we have zero creativity within these fucking people and we throw everybody in one match. That's the booking. It's in WWE. It's in the same thing here with AEW. So Private Party wins, as I would think they would, because they just won these titles. Acclaimed turning on one another. I guess it can be fun. I don't know. Is it needed? You can argue and say not really, because there needs to be a tag division that needs to be built. And it's the Acclaimed, man. Just give them good booking. You saw how or what they could be when they were pretty over several years ago to where they are now. And a lot of people have also just turned on Max Caster. There's a lot of people that just don't like Max Caster for some things that he said. I remember some things he said about Shelton Benjamin. He didn't want Shelton Benjamin in AEW. I wonder how he feels now with freaking Hurt Syndicate. We'll get to Hurt Syndicate later. So yeah, man, the star of the show, it's just like right there, man. I'm waiting for something to just really pique my interest, and just you throw a fucking circus, a fatal four-way circus at me. And again, for a guy like Malachi Black, who I just put on a pedestal, this was just, it was a circus matchup that didn't need to start the night off. It just didn't. Then you had MJF and Roderick Strong. MJF wins the matchup. MJF ends up taking out Roderick Strong after the matchup. Adam Cole comes out, probably too busy playing on his Nintendo S or something backstage, because he came out and Roderick Strong, this dude was already fucking laid out. The deed was done. MJF scurries away. Kyle O'Reilly ends up shoving Adam Cole, getting into his face like it's too late. Like, he's trying to get into, well, not get into his head, but like trying to speak sense into Adam Cole. Like, you're not going to win this battle with MJF. Like, it's like, what are you doing type of thing. So yeah, I mean, guys, let's face it. I mean, me and Brian have stated now for several months, and I feel like a broken record. You can't rectify this story at all. It has no more legs to stand on. Like, it's done. It's done, because MJF is going after, or Adam Cole is going after MJF where there's no reason to at all, because he was the heel last time we saw MJF and Adam Cole together. He betrayed his friendship. He took his championship away from him, and he exposed him now as the heel for who he truly is. Mission accomplished. So what's the point of this feud, to resurrect this feud? The answer is nothing. So there's a massive disconnect there. And MJF and Roderick Strong, guys, let's be honest. This is a matchup you put on Dynamite. That's no shade. Seriously. Listen, MJF is freaking fantastic. Roderick Strong is a good professional wrestler. This match did not need to be on this card. It just didn't. MJF did what MJF does best within his character, was freaking awesome. Outside a few things that MJF did within his psychology, within his character, it's just, I just don't understand why we need to continue this. It's not getting any better. It's just staying the same, to where I just don't feel anything within this anymore. It was at its peak. It was nice when it was hot, when the steam was hot. Adam Cole got injured. It's unfortunate. And especially the fact that MJF is not even there to sell it. The last several weeks, he hasn't been there to sell it, because I'm guessing he's still doing shit, filming movies and doing stuff, some other projects outside of AEW. So the dude hasn't even been here to sell it. And when MJF, your top talent, the dude that you want to carry these types of storylines, when he's not there to sell it, what do you have? The answer is, well, not much at all. So yeah, man, MJF wins the match as the right call. MJF is not losing to Roderick Strong. That's not happening. So yeah, man. And now you have this friction with Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole. I get what's going on that part, but the nucleus of how everything is starting in the first place is still not adding up. There's still a disconnect there. Next matchup was with the ladies, Mercedes Moné and Kris Statlander. Again, it's unfortunate. Another matchup to where going into it to where I didn't know how to feel about this matchup, because on one end, I thought Kris Statlander was a heel, and now here she is as a babyface, and I guess we're now doing this said feud. However, man, this was arguably the match of the night. Both of these ladies killed it, and I mean they killed it, man. And so many times throughout the wrestling community, I keep hearing that Mercedes Moné, oh, she's overrated. Oh, she sucks. She can't cut a promo. She can't fucking do this. She can't do that, right? Listen, is she the best talker? No. I've stated many times in this podcast, bro. Yes, her strong suit is not her promos. But guess what? Whether you like it or not, she checks off every box imaginable. Months of bad booking, one bad matchup with Britt Baker, and all of a sudden she sucks. Got it. Cool. Great conversation. Guys, this hate is so forced, man. It's so forced. Oh yeah, she hasn't had a good matchup yet in AEW. Willow Nightingale, Stephanie Vacuor, Hikaru Shida. I can go on in AEW that she's had good match. Oh well, they carried Mercedes in that match. Shut the fuck up, dude. It's like, what? Like, bro, and this is what baffles me, right? It's not even the Mercedes. I truly believe this. It's not even the fact that people don't like Mercedes, right? Maybe some people do, and that's whatever. That's your personal preference. That's fine. I can't take that away from you. But I truly feel that the hate that this woman gets is because of the fact that she's not in WWE. Because we love to play this tribalism game, and it's such fucking bullshit. Because so many people just want to see AEW succeed. So, guess what? Here comes Mercedes. She's not a draw. She's not moving the needle. The ratings are still the same. Well, guess what, guys? If the booking is not up to par, right? Mercedes, to where I love the fact that they're giving her the spotlight. She's got she's double champ with the New Japan Strong Championship and the TBS Championship. But at the same time, man, and this is what WWE I give credit towards, is that they utilized her to the best of her ability. Mercedes' strength, guys, is obviously, yes, her wrestling itself, but you watch her work as a heel in that ring, the shit talk that she does, acting like this brat, her brattiness and stuff. It's so fucking good, man. And it makes you want to hate her. She's a natural heel with her laugh, her mannerisms. People like freaking want to call out these little things that she does. And I keep telling people, guys, that's her job. Her job as the heel is to make you not like her. Now you can argue that, oh, well, it's not good heat though, James. It's like, get off of my television screen hate. Well, like I said, man, I don't believe that this hate is genuine. I truly feel that this hate is because she's in AEW and not in WWE, and people just want to see AEW freaking fail because we love to play this tribalism game and wave the fucking WWE or AEW flag. That's what's killing pro wrestling. It's these fucking fans that want to see a certain company fail so bad, and I don't understand it. And Ricochet, and listen, Ricochet, and we'll get into him, is somebody to where like now he's getting clowned more than ever because he's in AEW, and they're going to make fun of him because all he can really do is put on the flips and the dives and the banger matches, which is true. Let's face it, there's not a whole lot that Ricochet has to offer that Mercedes does. So yeah, man, it's just, you go back and you watch this match, man, and you tell me if she's fucking overrated or not. Because, bro, you're full of shit. You are such full of shit, and it's such ignorance from this wrestling community. It's also up to Tony Khan and this company to put her in the best case scenario, to showcase her strengths and to hide her weaknesses. And that's it. And much love to Kris Statlander, by the way. Her matchup with Mercedes in this match, she had a really good matchup with Willow Nightingale at All Out just a couple moons ago. So Kris Statlander also deserves her props. I don't want to leave her out of this as well. But I'm telling you, man, you watch this matchup with Mercedes, and her attire was like Sasha Banks-esque. So she was in her bag in this matchup. And it was so damn good, man. The build to it, I get it, because again, there was really no builds. The whole thing with Kris Statlander and her character is weird. But these ladies did their thing, man, and they deserve their flowers. So really good stuff. Mercedes winning is the right call. And we'll see where we go with this now. But Mercedes, when she needed to lock in and put on a matchup, She fucking did that, as well as Kris Statlander. Both of them seem like they have good chemistry. Both of them crushed it. And yeah, man, enough of this Mercedes overrated bullshit. Like, shut the fuck up, man. Enough. Anyway, moving on. Jay White defeats Hangman Adam Page. Guys, listen, the booking of Hangman Adam Page, right? So where this guy was, you can arguably say, was the face against Swerve Strickland, right? It's all coming in full circle. So where Swerve, broke into his home. Now here's Hangman Adam Page breaking into Swerve Strickland's childhood home and burning his house. The house, his childhood house that he built, and burns it down. And dude, the momentum that Hangman Adam Page carried into that matchup at All Out, which both of them crushed it. And ever since then, man, they switched his character back to a full-blown face against Jay White that's doing absolutely nothing for anybody. I don't understand. You would think that type of matchup for Hangman Adam Page would catapult him to a world title slot. That's believable with people like Jon Moxley and such. And yet here he is fiddling with Jay White, which could be good if done properly with both of these two. Hangman selling a knee injury in this matchup, and he loses to Jay White. And I'm thinking, why? Like, the momentum, guys, with Hangman Adam Page is done. It's fucking gone. From the moment he burned Swerve Strickland's house down to the moment he took on Swerve Strickland inside of a steel cage, all the way up until this point, his momentum has not been the same since. They completely flipped his character. They constantly flipped his character. So there's no true connection with this fucking dude. I don't understand how you can make this type of decision. I really, truly don't. This is the second time he's now lost to Jay White. He's lost to Jay White twice. Now, I get it. Jay White needs victories as well. But now, but with all of that momentum that Hangman had, man, how can you put him in this situation? It makes no fucking sense, dude. It makes no fucking sense. I was really hopeful that moment with Hangman and after that feud with Swerve was going to be the moment, like, all right, this is where we kick Hangman into potential superstardom, and now this potential world title reign that Hangman is going to have, that's going to truly kick him things into high gear. And they've gone the completely opposite direction. I don't understand it, bro. The booking of Hangman has made no sense. For a while, it's made no sense. And this decision to have him lose again to Jay White, he's now on this massive losing streak against Jay White, is so fucking odd. I don't understand it at all. It makes no sense. Kyle Fletcher and Will Ospreay. Kyle Fletcher defeats Will Ospreay. This also was another great matchup as well. Both of these two did their thing. Again, another match of the night candidate alongside Mercedes and Kris Statlander. Fletcher beating Will Ospreay. It's another weird decision, bro, because again, Will Ospreay is in a position right now to where he still needs to have good momentum and victories, right? There's the hardcore wrestling audience that knows how good Will Ospreay is and knows of Will Ospreay, but then there's still another certain type of audience that still needs to know more about Will Ospreay. He's still pretty new to AEW, and they thought it was a good idea to take your head honcho, legit guys, let's be honest, your head honcho, your top face of the company right now, and to have him lose clean, by the way, to Kyle Fletcher. Because, and if that's the case, man, Kyle Fletcher needs to be booked to the fucking moon because he just defeated one of your top stars. Will Ospreay, man, I'm sorry, needed this victory a lot more than Kyle Fletcher. Kyle Fletcher and the story that was told, right? He doesn't want to be anything like Will Ospreay. He's trying to separate himself from Will Ospreay. That's why he's with with Don Callis and shaving his head now. if you booked the matchup correctly, if you would have done this correctly, Kyle Fletcher would have not lost anything. And as long as that there was something afterwards, you can still build up Kyle Fletcher. Kyle Fletcher, guys, is not in a position to where he needs to beat Will Ospreay clean. The fuck are we doing? It's, especially a guy like Will Ospreay, who's going to probably be going after a world title in the near future. Oh, but don't worry, we got this Continental Classic. They're both in the Continental Classic. So Will Ospreay, James, is going to defeat Kyle Fletcher. Great. So there's going to be some 50-50 booking and we're going to continue this fucking cycle. It's so fucking weird. Moving on. Daniel Garcia defeats Jack Perry. Decent match, I guess. Again, I'm just going to be honest and I'll keep this short. Daniel Garcia, guys, does nothing for me. He really just doesn't. I just don't see this guy just evolving to a top spot in the company, like evolving now from this mid-card level where he's at now to eventually going after a world championship in the near future. I just don't see it. Now, I will give Daniel Garcia credit. They were doing these segments to where I think like Jack Perry was like tied up to his own like scapegoat truck or whatever. And they try to do some cool shit with that, like doing a vignette type of scenario with Daddy Magic and everything. So I appreciate the effort trying to make this special, but guys, you listen to the crowd, and at least not even just listening, but just watching the crowd. People are just half asleep and they're not even engaged in the matchup. Mainly because, again, there's so many matches on the card, but they're just not that invested to a Jack Perry, Daniel Garcia matchup. They're just not, especially for how tiny these guys are. These guys are tiny. Oh, my goodness. So, yeah, man, good for Daniel Garcia, I guess. I don't know where Jack Perry goes from here. Jack Perry could really be something, as I've talked about him being like the CM Punk of AEW, to where you can utilize that to your advantage to make him truly like unpredictable. And you still could, there's still time for the dude, but they're going to have to do, though, a lot more than what they've been doing. So Takeshita defeats Ricochet. Cool. A good matchup that didn't need to be on this card. Another matchup that I could have seen for free on Dynamite, guys. And that's the truth, bro. That's just the truth, man. Ricochet, man, listen, he is, and I know Brian has mentioned this as well. Ricochet is in a position to where he fits better in this company, right? That's just like his style and everything, right? And 100% agree. But now let's face it. You have a lot of styles of wrestlers that are pretty similar to Ricochet that could put on the same type of maneuvers that Ricochet can. People like a Will Ospreay, people like a Rey Fenix, people like a Hologram, people like frickin' a Commander. If you take away that makes Ricochet stand out, what does Ricochet have? The answer is nothing, man. And this is why I keep preaching, put Ricochet within Hurt Syndicate. Because that type of scenario for Ricochet, to where you could truly help evolve his personality and what he's involved in, you got to start changing things up for Ricochet. You could still have his wrestling, his style be the same, but his mannerisms and how he looks alongside Hurt Syndicate, it just makes sense for him. So this Takeshita winning is, again, I don't even know if it really is the right call. Ricochet, his stock has gone down since he's honestly been since he made his AEW debut. He debuted in a battle royal, guys. I just don't understand it at all. So again, decent match. Both did their thing for what it was. Just not a pay-per-view matchup. Sorry, it's not. Bobby Lashley defeats Swerve Strickland. Right call. This was also a good matchup. And again, one of the few matchups that I am very hopeful for. I really want to see Hurt Syndicate succeed. I think there's a lot of potential there. And who knows, with Swerve and Nana, you can also do a lot with that. Maybe do some, whatever type of storytelling to where they need something, because clearly the strength in numbers is still with Hurt Syndicate. Does Swerve Strickland turn on Prince Nana? We've talked about that type of scenario as well. Does, whatever the case may be and how you want to, whatever avenue that you want to go into. But Hurt Syndicate, man, I mean, I really hope that they continue to build up this faction, right? And I hope that and you can see it with Shelton Benjamin, to where Shelton Benjamin is kind of like the guy that's going to take like the added beat down to a certain face. I really want this faction to be equally as badass. Maybe not for Shelton Benjamin at the same level as a Bobby Lashley, but there has to be a balance to where Shelton Benjamin is just not one of those fall dudes in the group. And it kind of takes away his stature, which if you do that, it also deteriorates the faction itself. So it's still early within it. I do want to see where it goes, but decent matchup for what it was. Bobby Lashley wins. It's the right call. So out of everything that happened in this pay-per-view, I'll take this 9 times out of 10. And then the main event. Holy fucking shit. Here we go. Let's just dive into it because I do want to get to Monday Night Raw. So in this matchup, you had Wheeler Yuta that got involved in this match, hit a Busaiku knee to Orange Cassidy. Mox hits his Death Rider finisher and wins this matchup and retains his championship. And then after the matchup, you had, they tried to, do some extra curricular activity to Orange Cassidy. And then I believe it was Hangman Adam Page came out. This is what I'm reading. Hangman Adam Page comes out. He hits a steel chair over Wheeler Yuta. What the fuck, man? And then Christian Cage comes out and he's about to cash in his contract that he has. I believe he took out Moxley. So Hangman and Christian are now working together. Jay White comes in and takes out Christian Cage, preventing him to cash in his contract that he has. And Conglomeration, I believe, was in the fold as well. I believe Mox and the Death Riders ended up hightailing it. There was also a segment, in the parking lot area to where Darby Allin with the skateboard was sending off Moxley and his group as they got into another getaway vehicle, and Darby Allin was using his skateboard to destroy the hood or the front lid of the car of the truck that the Death Riders drive into. So I guess that's starting up Mox and Darby Allin now. I guess now that Orange Cassidy is lost. Guys, what? Listen, and I want to be fair because WWE does this as well, and I hate to do this fucking comparison, but I feel like I have to. We see WWE, and also to where it doesn't accomplish anything, but overbooking. This was an overbooking segment after this matchup. But this was a type of scenario to where if you're going to overbook, it has to be done right. This was all over the fucking place. Hangman comes out there. He attacks Wheeler Yuta, heel Wheeler Yuta. And he's aligning himself with Christian because why? Because he was in a tag match with him a couple weeks ago. And now they're just buddies. They're joint at the hip. Jay White is out there. Why does Jay White care about what Hangman Adam Page is doing at this point? You've beaten him twice, bro. Why? You would think that Hook would come out because Hook has the situation going on with Christian. None of this made sense at all. It was overbooked. I like overbooked segments, but this was a fucking mess. The storytelling throughout this show was a fucking nightmare. I didn't understand what was going on. I couldn't connect. I couldn't truly get into the story that was told throughout the night. I just didn't care. I didn't care about it going into it, guys. And afterwards, I was just as baffled as I'm sure anybody else that was watching this pay-per-view. This was not good, bro. This was not, outside of the wrestling itself and what the talent was able to do and what they were given. This was not good. This was a weak build and a weak show on top of it. And that's as honest and as blunt as I can possibly be. So yeah, man, it's a mess. And that Mariah May, right? Mariah May is in this segment with Mina. I believe that's her name. They did this celebration. Mariah tried to attack her from behind, and then there was like a drop area to where they tackled each other off the rampway. So that's starting a said feud. I don't know if that has any relationship with Toni Storm, because Toni Storm and Mina were doing, I guess, have a good working relationship in New Japan. I know Toni Storm as of late has been, going across the globe, wrestling in Mexico, wrestling in New Japan. Her character, retired. She's announcing retirements. And obviously, of course, storytelling wise and all that. But so I don't know if it has any connection with that, and maybe trying to prolong that with Mina getting involved. Again, it's not, I mean, they're shaking their how you doing. So I really can't be that upset. Right? I don't know. Out of everything else that happened this show, I'm not going to truly bash this. Mariah May, I will say, as good as she played a role in Toni Storm, arguably one of the best stories in pro wrestling this year, they've done nothing to catapult her after that. They've done nothing. She's almost an afterthought in this company. You forget that she's even the champion because she's doing absolutely, it's no fault to her own, but she's doing absolutely nothing. So yeah. But yeah, let's bring in the Costco guys and their double chunk chocolate cookies and their chicken bakes and their fucking whatever junk food, whatever freaking type of food they want to bring in. And yet you watch the whole entire card, and everything just fell completely flat. The storytelling doesn't make sense. Everything going into Dynamite doesn't make you that much more excited to what happens on Dynamite. It's just that simple. And yeah, I just, that's as honest as I can be. And I'm just going to really leave it at that. Much love to the Costco guys. They got arguably the best reaction out of anybody on that main roster. There was some good matches, no doubt. Some good with Mercedes and Kris Statlander, Kyle Fletcher and Will Ospreay, Bobby Lashley and Swerve. Outside of that, man, this was a mess from start to finish. And that's it, bro. All right, let me get into Monday Night Raw here. So Monday Night Raw, I can't really say, guys, that Monday Night Raw is any better. So Monday Night Raw kicks off with Gunther. Before Gunther can say anything, Damian Priest comes out, says some words. He's like, Damian Priest is like, here, you know what? I want to see what what he has to say. This is his interview time. Here, I give him the microphone. Do you have the balls, the cojones to tell me what you need to tell me straight to my face? But Gunther just sucker punches him with the microphone, and the brawl is on. Gunther takes him out at ringside. He's taking off the announce table. He's wrecking the announce table. Damian Priest gains the upper hand, hits a razor's edge. And that is your opening segment, as Damian Priest has all the momentum in the world heading into Survivor Series. Guys, again, man, this is a rematch that I don't care for. This is a rematch that I've seen everything that I've needed to see multiple times between these two. And that's really it. The build to this I can't say doesn't make sense, but the timing of all of this, of just because of one loss to Cody Rhodes, Gunther is that shook to where he's losing confidence against a guy like Priest, who he is already beaten. Oh, but Finn Balor got involved in the matchup. Doesn't fucking matter. He's the heel, right? As the diabolical heel, as the cocky, arrogant heel, that shouldn't matter to him. He fucking beat him. So the timing of all this, guys, it doesn't add up at all. It's just so weird. I mean, I guess the Rager's Edge spot was cool. In the moment, that was cool. That was a good spot. And then, a couple moments later on the show, it's forgotten about. It just is, man. The star of the show, guys, is a complete dud because Gunther and what we're doing with Gunther, I don't know what the fuck we're doing with this dude. I really, truly don't, man. This guy's title reign has been so odd, and this matchup as a whole, I just do not care. With just more brawling, and more fighting, and that's going to think that it's going to make somebody like me want to watch this matchup just as much. The answer is no, it did not. Moving on. And of course, I'll talk more about that Survivor Series itself, but moving on, man, you have American Made and the Creed brothers take on LWO. This was really fucking just really weird and just silly. I mean, American Made, they win a match. Great. So the referee is just so distracted by Dragon Lee. Dragon Lee is like hovering over the referee in the corner, and the ref is just that for a long extended period of time is so heavily focused on Dragon Lee to where Chad Gable gets onto the ring apron. He grabs Rey Mysterio's mask. He turns it around to where Rey can't see. And I believe it was Julius Creed that rolled up Mysterio for the W. It was such a weird and just a silly exchange at the end of the matchup. I mean, listen, the positive is that American Made won a match. That's it. But the bad news is that the win did nothing for them. Nothing came out of this at all. Nobody's talking about this at all. Was the match, and that's it. They're trying to use heel tactics, but the whole exchange with the ref was just so silly, and it didn't land. It did not land at all. This LWO shit continues to be stale, and the more we continue this type of booking, American Made is also just going to get as much more stale than LWO is right now. And that's it. Intercontinental title match a non-title match between Braun Breaker versus Ludwig Kaiser. Heel Braun Breaker versus heel Ludwig Kaiser. What's Triple H cooking up in that kitchen, man, for Thanksgiving, right? The side dishes, right? The entrees. He's cooking up another heel versus heel match. It's I guess the old reliable dish is a heel versus heel matchup. Fucking Christ, man. What are we doing with Braun Breaker? I say that like a broken record. What are we doing with this fucking guy? He looks more goofy, even in these matchups, to where he catapults himself into the freaking announce table, almost face stomach first, because there's no stop button with Braun Breaker. I'm not going to stop because I don't know how to stop. And he rams straight into the announce table on the outside, trying to deliver a spear. He's doing like salutes with the Frankensteiner like he's a face. I don't know what we're doing with this guy. You question, like, is this utter sabotage? Like, the dude is supposed to be a heel, and now we're hearing internally that they're going to book him as a tweener. Guys, I'm sorry, bro. If that's really what they're doing, then Jesus fucking Christ, I can't. I'm telling you, bro, if you're going to do this tweener shit, it's never going to work. It's not. Braun Breaker's booking for forever, even when he was near the end of his NXT run, has been so baffling. It really is. Sheamus creates a disqualification. Brawl and chaos ensue. That's another recipe that Triple H has. What's a way that we can build up a storyline and a feud? Nonsensical brawling. It's brawl and brawl and brawl and brawl and brawl. And this sets up the matchup for Survivor Series. So this is a triple threat between Braun Breaker, Sheamus, and Ludwig Kaiser. I don't give a shit, man. I don't, because I don't have anything that's connecting me to be invested into this, man. It's just like, so we had matches with Kaiser and Sheamus nonstop. All of them have good chemistry. All of them had decent matchups. I'm not disputing that. But you had a matchup with Braun and Sheamus. You had a matchup with Kaiser and Sheamus. What else can we do? Let's just throw them in. Let's throw Braun Breaker and Kaiser. But they're both heels. Triple H. Why would we do that? No, Braun Breaker's a tweener, right? I needed to make that publicly to Fightful that he's a tweener, so we can actually book him in this match with Kaiser. And then the fact in the mid-card division itself, right? You can tell how nonsensical it is because they add this matchup last minute. You know, just like they added in Nakamura and LA Knight, that matchup. Nakamura just debuted, and we're going to catapult this matchup within a week to Survivor Series. I honestly would have been fine if you would have done this at Saturday night's main event. Give it a little bit more time to at least tell ounces of a story. All Shinsuke Nakamura has done, he came back, he did the attack, the blindsided attack. He did a vignette before a matchup, and then just did another simplistic attack. And that's your build to Survivor Series. So when you get to the second matchup, what else is there need to see? Because you've already saw the first matchup. Guys, I'm on a fucking roll, man. You might think that I'm just being negative and just being too harsh. Guys, I'm just being as honest as I always am, man. That's just it. And for you to add in this matchup a week before the pay-per-view tells me everything I need to know about the mid-card division and how it's being booked. And that's it. And now we're giving the ladies a mid-card championship. We're giving them one on SmackDown and Raw. Like it's going to truly do anything for the ladies booking as a whole. Because if we're not actually changing the booking, guys, is a championship really just going to rectify all of that, right? Oh, they got a bright, shiny new title, but we're still going to book them the same. So what's the point? The only difference is that they have a bright, shiny new championship. Let's again, man, everything about a championship nowadays, it's like everything needs to be involved with a championship now, to where we now have all of these fucking championships and you book everybody the same anyway. So what is the point of the championship? And we're doing tournaments on top of it too, to where it fills up the show. It's easy. And this is exactly what I mean, man, to where we're going to give them the championship because it's more of a spotlight. No, a spotlight is properly booking them with badass feuds and storylines that we're going to talk about the next day. That is freaking adding a spotlight. Throwing a title just for the sake of a title is not doing anything. And throwing and trying to book your mid-card division and throw in a matchup a week before the show, before the PLE, tells me everything I need to know. Is that they either don't give a shit, they don't know what they're doing, and it's nonsensical as fuck. I'm on a roll, man. Holy shit. I'm not even drinking coffee or nothing. I'm just freaking, I'm on all cylinders, bro. I'm on a fucking roll, dude. What else is next, man? Oh, the tag team title match. Oh, this is a fucking doozy. Again, I don't even know what the War Raiders are, guys. I don't even know. They got their names back. Great. That's awesome. That's step one. I don't even know. You're feuding with the Judgment Day, who are heels, and the War Raiders are also just tweeners, I guess, at this point. But guys, that's not even really truly the issue. This is the ending of this match. Dominic gets involved. Carlito was out there as well. So Ivar goes for his moonsault on the second rope or top rope. Dominic gets involved. He stuns Ivar on the third rope. And guys, I'm not kidding you. JD McDonuts rolls up Ivar to retain the tag team titles. That was my reaction. That was exactly my reaction. Shout out to Deji. Yeah, man. I don't understand, guys, and I'll try to make this short. I really want to make this short. I don't understand how you go into a boardroom, right? And you gather up all these ideas that what's going to make the War Raiders, that we just gave them a name change, right? We're giving them this cleanse and their name back. What's the best way to make the War Raiders look dominant? Oh, let's have them get rolled up by JD McDonuts. You mean McDonough? Oh, yes, that's right, McDonough. Let's have him roll up big Ivar with his big delts and his big shoulders. Yeah, that's believable. Said nobody ever. Guys, what the fuck? Are we kidding me, bro? It's so like, listen, I honestly feel bad for Finn and JD because they're not doing anything with them with these titles. So now they're catching all this heat and people are just sick and tired of these two holding on to the titles because they're not defending the titles because there's no fucking division. I mean, and now we bring the War Braiders back and we thought it was a good idea. Oh, but Mysterio got involved. Carlito was at ringside. They created a distraction. Guys, I don't give a fuck if American Made was out there, if Mike Tyson was out there, if the entire, where were they? The entire Arizona Cardinals football team, because they were in Glendale, Arizona, if that entire NFL football team was out there at ringside. They're the fucking War Raiders. They shouldn't be rolled up by a guy like JD McDonough, who is the size of my fucking fist. Come on, bro. I'm using common sense and logic. That's all I'm doing, bro. How does that finish? It's so awkward. Right? Like Ivar just has to sit there like a schmuck on his shoulders because if he squimmers and moves, his shoulder's going to come off the ground. So it looks stupid either way. And that's all I'm going to say, man. Judgment Day retained the titles, and I don't know. I'm so baffled. Let me get to some actual really good stuff here. I've been dying to get into this. The New Day, right? New Day. So guys, if I were to, what would you react if I told you that the New Day was the best part of the show? Crazy to think about, right? Well, believe it, because they were. Now, before, they were in a matchup with Otis and Tozawa, Alpha Academy. And guys, they legit get squashed. They got squashed in this match. They lost in under a minute. The crowd's face is like baffled. They're like, what the hell just happened? What? Now, beforehand, right? So they're celebrating or they're advertising the New Day and their 10-year anniversary celebration. And, you have Kofi and Xavier's like, all right, I know we've been going at it several weeks. Let bygones be bygones. Let's water underneath the bridge, right? Let's focus on this anniversary celebration. Let's have a good time. Let's go out there. Let's do business the way we usually do it. And right from the jump, there was a massive disconnect of who was starting the matchup. Xavier Woods took the pinfall from Tozawa, and then the bickering started. And this was really good, bro. They had Xavier Woods and Kofi argue up the rampway through Gorilla. And I guess it was like, I don't know what you call it, but it's like not in gorilla position, but I guess to where the outside, right outside where gorilla position is. That's the best I can put it. To where it's that final entranceway before you get to gorilla. And guys, these two just go at it. I mean, you want to talk about throwing some haymakers? That's what Xavier Woods and Kofi did in this segment, man. So Xavier Woods is like, dude, like you're wrestling like garbage. You're not helping me out there. Like, what's going on, dude? And Kingston's like, listen, I've given you my Intercontinental Championship matchup, right? When you were the king and I was kneeling to you at your throne, right? I did that all for you. Don't sit here and tell me that I have not looked out for you. Don't sit there and tell me that I haven't stood beside you. And then that's when Woods was like, remember, you would always get too terrified to take a risk, right? Which is why that you were even world championship in the first place, because we made that happen for you. I made that happen for you. You became champion because of me, because of the New Day. And Kofi Kingston is sitting there like, he was telling Woods like, dude, I was a Hall of Famer before you even asked me to join this said group 10 plus years ago. Like, who are you, bro? Like, how many singles championships have you won? What have you done since we've been like anything on your own? He's like, there's a reason why where me and Big E didn't let you do things on your own, why we didn't give you the ball, why we didn't give you that direction. The reason why that people like me and E were champions and you aren't, is because you're not good enough. You haven't gotten the job done. That's not my fault. And Xavier Woods wasn't done, man. Xavier Woods just continues to go off. He's like, Kofi Mania? Yeah, that's right. It was because of me. It was because of the New Day. And guess what? You pissed it away in 6 seconds when you lost to Brock Lesnar. And Kofi kicks it in his face, and he's like so irate. He's losing train of thoughts and words and what to say. And then Kingston ends up just like walking off. He's like, oh, yeah, I'll see you next week, bro. He's like, yeah, I'll see you at the reunion, buddy. And they both kind of just walk off. The camera zooms in on Xavier Woods' face. And that was the segment, man. Dude, listen, I make fun of the New Day for justified reasons. Everything that they have done, and you can argue that for 10 plus years to where, yeah, they had their moments with the Bootios and with Big E and that trio. And we've said it, me and Brian have said it for so long. Without Big E, the New Day just didn't feel like the New Day. And it kind of just felt like they've overstated their welcome. And you can argue that this turn, because I mean, it's clear now, next week within this anniversary, this celebration of the New Day, the turn is happening. Xavier Woods is turning on Kofi. I've heard arguments about Kofi turning on Xavier Woods. Guys, stop. No, you guys, you can't do that at all. Kofi as a heel, seriously? No, I can't believe, no, that's not believable at all. This is Xavier Woods' time. I don't know what Xavier Woods has got as a singles competitor, but we have to find out one way or the other. But lately, man, within this split, within teasing this friction, it's been done well. Some weeks it's just been the same type of bickering to where I don't know how that's truly evolving this certain split within the New Day. But this, man, this was so well done. They let it breathe. Xavier and Kofi executed this to perfection. Shout out to Triple H for approving this. Shout out to producers for setting this up. But most importantly, shout out to Kofi and Xavier Woods and how they truly made this so just authentic and just so good within their words and how they said it, their mannerisms. Like, this was shit that you would say to your enemy. You wouldn't say this to like your best friend and your tag partner for over a decade. And you can use these types of sound bits and quotes for storylines, you know, moving forward if they choose to do that. But man, when we talk about interactions, backstage segments, storytelling like this might have been one of the best segments of this entire year. Seriously. And it's coming from the New Day, a team that has been nonsensical, a team that has overstated their welcome, and even a split to where it's even had its moments to where I don't know how that's evolving it. But this man had substance. The words had meaning, the facial expressions, the mannerisms, how things were said, and they let it breathe, which is something that I wish this company and wrestling does more of. You know, we're in this society, and even it's affected in pro wrestling, where it's always on to the next. We're on to the next match, on to the next segment, on to the next backstage segment, on to the next promo. But this, they let it breathe, and I fucking loved every second of it. I hung on to every single word, and this segment was the most captivated I've been within the New Day in quite some time. And that's and for me to legit say that this was the best part of the night, I'm even baffled saying that, because guys, it's true. The most substance, the most you were just hanging on to everything that happened in gorilla position. You know, it gave you a reason why you were so befuddled to where like they just lost in less than a minute to Otis and Tozawa. But then as you let it breathe, and then it all kind of has a purpose to it. I loved it, man. This is all I ask for, man. It's shit like this within the show. It's storytelling like this. Just shout out to the New Day, man, for making this segment for what it was. Shout out to Triple H for approving it. The best segment of the night was this right here. It's not, guys, it's not even close. You can give me everything that you might have liked in this show, but this was the most effective moment to catapult you to next week, to now you are uber excited to see what goes down with this potential split, how they're going to do it, what's going to be said. Is Biggie going to get involved? I hope that's the case, by the way. Yeah, can you tell how freaking captivated I am about this shit, man? You know, even from the New Day, a team that I have, again, ripped apart for months on this platform. And if you do it right, you get words like I just said. I praise this type of shit, even if it's with the New Day. It's all you got to do. That's all you got to do for make me to speak positively. Don't just make me enjoy something. I want to be captivated. This captivated the shit out of me. And then you had Karrion Kross and the Wyatt Six. Now, Final Testament was backstage. The Miz is like, oh, I think I saw the Wyatt Six. I think they're in the arena. Kross is like, well, did they see you? And Miz is like, no. It's like, all right, well, let's go find them. It's like, Scarlett, I want you to stay back here. They were in, like, I guess in their locker room or something. And Miz was like, all right, I'll stay here. And and then Authors of Pain are like kicking him through the front door to go with him. Like, all right, Miz is like, all right, I'll go. And then Scarlett, I think she was like looking in, like doing her makeup or something. She looks in the mirror. She thought she hears something, and then she looks up again at the mirror, and then slowly you see coming into fray as Nikki Cross. Like, it, bro, the visual of it was so fucking cool. And then you did like the Wyatt, like, jump scare finish to go into commercial or whatever. We come back, and then you had Final Testament and Miz. They can't find the Wyatt Six, so they go back to their dressing room, their locker room. And then Karrion Kross opens the door, and the room is like a mess. Scarlett is in distraught. Karrion Kross is like trying to calm down Scarlett as she's like in this tirade and like, Nikki Cross, she was there. It was actually, again, man, really well done. And I've said this for weeks too, man. All of these segments that were halfway decent to, dare I say, good on Monday Night Raw have been these backstage segments. That's what's been carrying the show. That doesn't say a lot about the show, its totality, but at least it's something, man. But dude, at first, man, I was hesitant about Miz being a part of Final Testament, but they've managed to make it work. And I'm really starting to dig, and it's because of how Kross is doing so well in this character, man. Again, this dude, if you give him the right booking, if you put him in the right scenario, this dude can fucking thrive. And guess what you're hearing now from the wrestling community? Oh, damn, I really like what Karrion Kross is doing. Karrion Kross is the best thing on Monday Night Raw. You know, it's like beforehand, you know, Karrion Kross always, his gimmick is stupid. It's weird. With a little bit of good booking, it's crazy how the narrative fucking changes, does it? You know? And that's it, man. I've said it for months. I've been on the Karrion Kross train ever since I've had this platform, and ever since Karrion Kross, you know, for years when he was Killer Kross and all of that stuff, even in NXT when he first came on board, throughout his entire career, this dude is fucking good, man. And if you give him something, this is what he can do. The tip of the iceberg, bro. That's all this is with Karrion Kross. This is just the tip of what he could do, right? A glimpse of what he could truly bring to the table. And it's Kross that is what's really doing this for me. And that's really what's the most effective coming out of all of this. As well as The Miz too. Again, The Miz is playing his part very well. And I just hope they just keep going with it, man. Make it make sense. Keep doing shit like that with Kross. If you're going to showcase the Wyatt Six like this, man, or showcase them at all, do it like this, man. Creepy settings and visuals like Nikki Cross standing behind Scarlett. That was so fucking good, man. So good. Keep doing that shit, Triple H. Seriously, keep approving that. Please. You know, sincerely, everybody at Ruthless Talk. So, and then we go along into the show. They announce the title, which I really won't get into much more of. Let's just get into the main event, shall we? Bianca Belair against Nia Jax. Winner of this gets advantage in the War Games matchup. There was a table spot on the outside. I think Nia Jax tried to hit her like her Samoan drop onto the table. I believe the table was supposed to break. It never broke at all. So looked like that spot was botched. I don't know how, if you're Nia Jax, you can't break that said table. I don't know what happened. It didn't even budge. But that's a major botch, man. But either way, ended the matchup. Nia Jax goes onto the second rope. Bayley gets involved. There was a slight distraction. Referee never saw it. Bayley gets involved, takes out Nia Jax, allows Bianca to take advantage to win the matchup and defeat Nia Jax. Belair wins the matchup, gets her hand raised in victory. Bayley is on the rampway as they exchange a bit of a look, like a smile, like, oh, I appreciate you helping me out. Yeah, appreciate it. Of course. Anytime, buddy. And that was your show. So look, to end this, man, and I'm going to just end this and have everybody go about their merry way here. You know, I know we continue to speculate about who the attacker is from Jade Cargill. And again, there's a lot of names that even in the roundtable we discussed with, and I'm sure Brian, he's mentioned that it's most likely going to be Bayley. And that could be the case, man. But I'm going to be dead honest with you guys, as I always am. Bayley would not be a good choice. Bayley, I'm sorry, would be a nonsensical choice because we just turned this woman face back at WrestleMania. And now because you have nothing for her as a baby face, you haven't rectified her booking as a face, you're now just going to turn her heel. I mean, I get it. Some of her best booking was when she was a heel. I get it. But just to flip Bayley as a heel because you have nothing for her as a face, and so what? She's going to be in this War Games match and she's going to turn on Bianca? Another feud that we just saw like several years ago. All they did was fight against each other. And now we're going to see that again. Bayley as the heel, Bianca as the face, with Jade Cargill added into it. Like, is that really the best we can do within this scenario? Let's ask each other that. Is it most likely the case scenario that's going to happen? Sure. But I would rather put Naomi in this situation. Naomi turning on Bianca makes more sense because you can play the story that she's the third wheel. She's kind of the outcast while Bianca and Jade are getting all the glorious tag champions. And then there's just weird assumptions that it's Bianca, like she would attack Jade Cargill while she was in the matchup on SmackDown, unless your argument is telling me, oh, well, she did it before the match. So you're telling me that everybody was just oblivious to her getting knocked off of a loading dock and onto a fucking car for that entirety of the matchup? Guys, I'm sorry, that doesn't add up. And there's no tension. There's no friction. They haven't teased anything like that within the last several weeks of them being tag champions. They still hold on to the gold. Why would Bianca do that? The timing of that doesn't make sense, guys. So if I have the pen to paper, for me, it's Naomi, Charlotte Flair, which I've mentioned because why not get her away from that fucking world title? You've done it with Bianca. You could do that with Charlotte Flair. It's not going to happen, though, but again, if I have pen to paper, I would consider that to where, you have Charlotte Flair. She comes back. She's going to remind Jade who the top female star is because Jade, she came in. She was the next big thing, right? The flavor of the month. And then Charlotte Flair, here she comes to remind folks who the true, top female of WWE is. Why not? Honestly, it's believable. Charlotte Flair. And I have another wild card, man, and I'll end it with this. There's a certain wrestler in TNA that's contract is coming up in January. Because of this angle with Jade Cargill, and Jade Cargill is not going to come back for quite some time because she also is legitimately injured. That's why they did this angle. Jordynne Grace If you were to bring Jordynne Grace into WWE and to truly make an impact, a splash onto the main roster, that's how you do it, bro. Taking out Jade Cargill. Why not, man? If that's what WWE's interest is, of course. So I truly would rather have a Jordynne Grace, a Naomi, or a Charlotte Flair than going the weird, bizarre route that it would just be all of this for it to just be Bayley or Bianca. Especially the timing of it to be Bianca. It just makes no sense. And if it, for all of it to just be Bayley too, right? Like Bayley wins or Bayley costs Nia this matchup. So I'm giving you the advantage and then I'm going to give you the disadvantage by turning on you. Come on, man. We can be doing better than that, bro. But yeah, man, the show as a whole is a massive issue. It is an absolute clusterfuck. It is a mess. The backstage segments with the New Day, Cross, and the Wyatt Six carried this fucking show. Without that, guys, there is absolutely nothing. SmackDown has been the superior show the last several weeks, mind you. The last several weeks, they have been the superior show. It's not even close, and it's time that Monday Night Raw needs to pick up their game. And that's it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to another edition of the Ruthless Talk podcast. Once again, I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving, as I'm sure you guys will watch this either tomorrow or on Thanksgiving Day or after Thanksgiving Day. Either way, happy Thanksgiving to all of you guys watching. Make sure you guys stay tuned for our Survivor Series review. That is going to be next week, this coming Monday. On December 2nd is when we will be recording that show. As always, make sure you follow us on Instagram and TikTok. That is Ruthless_Talk. We are available Spotify, Apple Podcast for you guys to listen, as well as on YouTube. Thank you guys so much. I believe we're now at 260 subscribers. We've gotten a lot of subscribers over the last several days, just a couple of days. So thank you guys who have subscribed, who are watching this on YouTube. Appreciate the love. Appreciate the support. And as always, stay tuned for more wrestling content to come. The holidays are coming up. Survivor Series is next week. And we got Saturday night's main event. We got the holidays. And then we got Raw going to Netflix. And then WrestleMania season. Will things kick into high gear? Is that momentum going to skyrocket? Time will tell. That is going to do it for today's episode, everybody. My name is James Porcelli. Happy Thanksgiving. I am signing off, saying salute, peace out, and take care, everybody. Toodles. With the skin is dry and pale, the pain will never fail.